In this video, boys, I'll tell you exactly why intermittent fasting works for weight loss. Now, it's not a magic trick, but if you do it correctly, then you'll lose loads and loads of weight without even maybe needing to diet. So why should you listen to me? On one transformation, I lost 20 pounds of fat, and that was actually how I lost, how I used intermittent fasting as a tool to lose loads and loads of fat. And I used it again when I lost 30 pounds of fat. I think that was in 2019, and the 20 pound fat loss was in 2021. So I used intermittent fasting then. When I lost more than 20 pounds, I literally didn't even diet. I literally ate my mum's food. I fasted from meal to meal. My insulin was very low, and every single day I wouldn't even really work out that hard. I wasn't doing loads and loads of cardio. I was walking. I was training, of course. Don't get me wrong. I was training so I can get an aesthetic physique. If I was counting calories or anything like that, I 100% was not counting any calories. So that's how I use intermittent fasting. But I also know how to track calories. That's how I lost about 30 pounds in 2019. I've also trained my friends. I've taught them how to train, how to eat, how to sleep, which you can learn in my school community, boys. Join that. The link in the description below, the first one. Now, let me tell you what intermittent fasting is. I know all of you know what fasting is, but intermittent fasting basically means it's basically the same thing, to be fair. It means that you only eat within a certain amount of time and the rest of the time you fast. So me personally, I fast for about 14 to 16 hours and then I eat for 8 to 6 hours. So I'll start eating between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. But usually I'll stop eating around 8, maybe even 9 o'clock. And the rest of the time I don't eat. Now, the reason why that works for weight loss is because I'm not always eating. Like that's kind of obvious. But the reason what happens is when you're not always eating is you don't always spike your insulin. And now what insulin does is insulin raises your blood sugar. It basically starts fat loss. Now, a lot of people, when their insulin is kind of messed up, then they're always in fat storage mode. Even if they reduce calories or they exercise a lot of people, they'll only really lose a really small amount of weight. Now, if you're someone who's very healthy, your insulin is fine, all your hormones are regulated, and then, you kind of start intermittent fasting, then you'll start losing loads and loads of weight, and it'll be very, very healthy for your body. There's loads of benefits to fasting. Now, one of them I've already told you is you kind of fix your insulin, and with that alone, there's so many benefits. You kind of fix your blood sugar. You're at a very less, like a lower risk of diabetes. With that, there's obviously heart disease, there's liver related things. And another few things are you get a big spike in growth hormone. I put the studies up on screen because of from fasting. And alongside that, when you start fasting and you start running off your fat as fuel, which lowering your insulin allows you to do, the body starts something called autophagy. And what autophagy is it basically cleans up the body. It cleans up the cells. So it gets rid of dead cells, gets rid of wasteful cells, gets rid of cells which the body does basically no longer needs. And it basically is good for your immune system. And it just improves your health in general. And another one is there's growth hormone spikes. And what growth hormone spikes for us, as people who want an aesthetic physique and lose weight and whatnot, is basically a sort of growth hormone. It helps, it helps your gains, it helps your hormones. It's good for males, and it just in general, it's just fasting is just so much. There's a lot of spiritual benefit too. Another thing, which not really a mental thing, but what happens when you start fasting is, say for example, the first meal of the day, which will typically be your big meal, right? Because you've been fasting for so long. What you'll think to yourself is, you know what, I've been fasting since 8 p.m. Yesterday for the night before, if that's what your eating window is. So when 2 p.m. rolls around the next day, you'll think to yourself, you know what, I'm proper hungry. Let me make a massive meal. And you'll make a massive meal, and the odds are you won't finish that meal. Whatever the meal is, right, you probably won't finish that meal. And then what happens is you'll just be full for a very, very long time. And then when your evening meal rolls around, you'll probably be like, you know what, last time I made a lot of food. Let me not do that again. Let me not do that again. My eyes were bigger than my stomach, right? And then just like that, naturally, you cut the amount of calories without even knowing, because you're already so full from having a small eating window. It just makes a huge difference. And then you probably think you'll probably be full anyway. And then the next, you continue doing that for a couple of weeks, and you step on the scale and you think to yourself, you know what, why have I lost so much weight? I always eat till I'm full. Nothing else has really changed. I still work out the same amount. I still do the same amount of cardio. It's because of fasting. It's because what happens is you've naturally lowered the amount of calories you eat. And obviously fasting for longer periods of time is fix your insulin without you even really having to do much. And it just makes a massive difference to your health. to your body, of course, to your hormones, the amount of energy you have, and the amount of mental clarity you have from not having your body run off carbohydrates and sugar and whatnot. It's just night and day difference. If you think about it right now in retrospect, has there ever been a time where you've done a task early in the morning and the only thing you've had is maybe like some tea or some coffee, like black tea, black coffee, you've had maybe a glass of water, or better yet, you've not had anything. And the thing is, once you start doing things with that kind of focus, you realize, you know what, I need to get stuff done before I've had my first meal of the day or before I've had any kind of calories, because you just have a mental sharpness and alertness. Because, like, think of an animal. Would an animal hunt and think clearly if they were full? Like, if they had a big, massive meal, right? If they just ate like a cow, they just had their steaks. Or would an animal think sharply what if it's not had anything? If it's fasting, if it's, starving, if it's hungry? The clear, the obvious answer is it would be more sharper, it would think more clearly, it would have clarity if it was hungry, if it was hunting, if it was looking for food for its family, for itself. Now, it's just a big tool as well for productivity as well. And I literally, if someone's struggling to lose weight, I would just always advise them to kind of fast, even if it's not sustainable for them, or they have some kind of issues and whatnot. They should at least fast for maybe a month to kind of start the autophagy, get rid of the bad cells, try and fix the insulin, get that growth hormone spike. Even if the growth hormone kind of that it's only a short-lived growth hormone spike, like you only get it for the first few days or first few weeks, whatever. As long as you get to experience the benefits of intermittent fasting for maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months, then it will just leave you in good stead going forward, because you'll have the ability to lose fat whatever you want. Your hormones are more regulated, you have more energy, you have more mental clarity, and that can obviously leak into other things, into your work, into your job, into your business, into your relationship. And it's just a massive thing. And then what happens is, if some people feels like, you know what, I've kind of used to this 8-hour fasting, right, 2 till 10, it's convenient for me, but they feel like, you know what, I've stopped losing weight now. What can I do? What they can do is shorten their eating window again. So going from 2 till 8, they can go from 2 till 6, a 4-hour eating window. And what that will do is, again, it will naturally lower the amount of calories. So say at 2 p.m. you have your huge meal, and then at 5 o'clock you prep another meal. The likelihood is you won't be able to eat a massive meal again. You'll just have to make sure you get your protein in, and literally just get your protein in, and then you'll be fine. And then again, the weight loss, the fat loss starts again, and the autophagy probably ramps up again as well, because your insulin is low again, and you're fasting for literally 20 hours of the day. 20 hours a day. If you're someone who literally wants to lose weight rapidly and have amazing health benefits, I would always advise starting intermittent fasting. Literally give it a go. If you're someone who's always constantly grazing, like you're having snacks, you can't really go from meal to meal. So if your first meal is at 2 p.m. and you have your last meal of the day at 8 p.m., in between them hours, you 100% need something to eat. Then you probably got some kind of insulin issues, or you're not eating enough protein, you're not satiated enough. If that's someone like you, then you 100% need to start doing intermittent fasting, because it's literally a miracle thing. It's a miracle work. And if you're after a proper diet program or training program, how to eat, how to train, how to sleep, how to rest, recover, how to make high protein meals, then join my free school community, boys. The link will be in the description below, the first one. Click on that. Thank you.